$12,500, is that an unprecedented sum?
Well, that's actually the size of the current tax credit. With an augment, I think that amount of money is certainly possible. But we have a really astonishing provision here where, with many of the other renewable energy tax credits, you take an 80% haircut if you don't use union labor for the developers.
So in recent news, the Democrats unveil a new EV tax credit proposal, which is a little bit more pro-union than you would expect. So just to keep you up to speed, what has been offered for the last 5 years is a $7,500 EV tax credit. Now, what they're proposing is in addition to that $7,500. This would be a $4,500 addition to that $7,500 tax rebate that currently exists for a grand total of $12,000. And they are willing to add $500 more to that if the vehicle was made in USA. Now, I don't know about you, but it gets me wondering where our priorities lie as a country. Does it matter if a union American worker made your car, or does it matter if an American worker made your car, union or non-union? I would argue that at the end of the day, I would like my car made by an American. Whether that American is unionized or not unionized is nothing that should concern me. The thing I don't get about the union workforce is that isn't a union something that you need when things go wrong, when things aren't going as planned? For example, which came first, the marriage or the prenup? I would argue that the marriage came first, and then when that got sour, people started thinking about a prenup. Well, that's kind of what a union is, right? A union is not something that every company needs. Apple doesn't have a union. Tons of other companies don't have a union. However, they're doing just fine. So I don't understand why unionized automakers should receive a greater tax credit compared to other automakers. So you're telling me that because Tesla never mismanaged their workforce, never took advantage, never abused, never got to the point where they were looking so greedy that the workforce felt like they needed a third party or a negotiator. I would argue that if a company was able to go its entire life without ever having to deal with a union, that's a win. That shows that that company did a good job treating their employees fairly, paying them a fair wage for decent hours. It doesn't make any sense to me that companies like Ford, GM, and Chrysler, who are all unionized, will get an additional $4,500 off their vehicles, where Honda, Toyota, and Tesla will not. They want to only give you $500 more if the vehicle was made in America. $4,500 if the vehicle was made by a union automaker. $500 if it was made in America. So you may know this, but the Ford Mustang Mach-E is assembled in Mexico. Therefore, it will not be eligible for that $500 credit. But you're probably not too worried about that because you have a $4,500 if this bill passes, which it probably won't. You'd be looking at a $4,500 bonus on top of your $7,500 just because you bought pro-union. Why should Tesla, Honda, and Toyota be shunned from this? If their workers are happy, if their workers are making fair wages and don't feel a need to negotiate because things aren't bad, then why are we punishing them by not giving them the same privilege that a pro-union automaker would have? It doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, here's what makes sense, is that the United Auto Workers Union is backed by the Democrats. And you don't have to take my word for it. You can go check it out on Wikipedia. Which I know isn't the best source of information, but I mean, it's not a secret, right? Like, we all know that the UAW and the Democrats like this. So Biden obviously has an agenda, right? Biden is obviously trying to appeal to the union workers for more votes, and therefore wants to design or help usher in a tax bill that completely ignores the number one electric car company in America. The car company that made it cool, the car company that made it sexy, the car company that really got everyone thinking about electric cars. Because let's be honest, it's not the first electric car we've seen. but it's the most appealing. Tesla is to cars what Apple is to phones. Remember post 2007, before the iPhone came out, when everyone had a different phone and they were all different colors and shapes and sizes and brands and different software. And then one day, Apple came out with the iPhone 2007.
This is one device. And we are calling it iPhone. Today,
everybody wanted it. Everyone saw why it made sense. In that one moment, everybody knew that the iPhone was the future. Why? Because they nailed it. They nailed the execution. They nailed the product offering. It had the right mix of features for the price that people were willing to pay. And it really was a great deal because it was jam-packed. It really replaced so many things. So, and that's kind of what I see here. I see Tesla showing everybody how it should be done. And so by now you guys have probably seen the tweet from Whole Mars Catalog where he says, "My mouth was on the floor that they expanded it to 4,500 for unions and reduced the American made to only 500. The 2,500 for unions was already ridiculous, and that was announced in a former plan. This is a more updated plan where they went from 2,500 to 4,500. But to expand it to 4,500 in the new proposal, they are clearly targeting one company here." So Elon replied to this, as you guys probably know by now. This is written by /UAW lobbyists as they make their electric car in Mexico. Not obvious how this serves American taxpayers, which is a great point. Whole Mars Catalog replied to this saying American made should be the top priority, which I have to agree with. We need to be making the cars of the future here, not losing our industry to Mexico and China. And again, ask yourself, what's more important to you? That the car is made by an American or a non-American who's unionized? Because that's what happens in the case of the Ford Mustang Mach-E. That's not an American. Sure, they're unionized, but they're not American. But you get a $4,500 tax credit because some guy in Mexico assembled your vehicle, whereas if it was assembled by an American, it would be 9 times less that. 9. This bill with the $4,500 pro-union tax credit is probably not going to pass. That's just a lot of money for pro-union, and I hope that Democrats will understand that. And then $500 for American made seems a little light if you ask me. But the silver lining in all of this is that Tesla will have at least a $8,000 tax credit. And hopefully after this bill gets reformed, hopefully a little bit more than that. $8,000 until 2030. And then a used EV vehicle would be eligible for a $2,500 tax credit. So, needless to say, Tesla was having a hard time keeping with demand as is. If this EV tax credit goes up any more than what they were expecting, we can expect demand to go up even higher. Right now, as of recording this, you have to wait 6 months to order a Model Y. I mean, if they're about to give someone $12,500 tax credit for a Ford Mustang Mach-E, then maybe the $8,000 might be closer to $10,000 after it's all said and done. Maybe if they make it a $2,000 additional tax credit for cars made in America, which is kind of what it should be, let's be honest. 75 plus a 2,000, so 9,500, almost 10K off your Model Y, Model 3, Cybertruck. Between that and then the price of ownership, and then also looking at the rising gas prices, I think it's game, set, match. These tax credits might help unionize automakers, but at the end of the day, let's be honest, how much will it really do? My name's Tyler, the Tesla Investa. If you're not, you should be one too. Smash like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this one. This is my first video, so I hope that you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys real soon. Peace.
every once in a while, a revolutionary product comes along that changes everything. It's a revolutionary mobile phone.